strikers that the old ones created.
Why is there
Maybe
so
the
many
enslavers were
bugs?
actually the old ones.
What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day as always. Morning, noon, night, whatever it is for you guys. Hope you're having the best day possible. So guys, today we're going to be getting back into some Weshammer. And guys, I feel like we have talked about a lot in the Warhammer 40K universe, but at the same time, I feel like we barely scratched the surface. I mean, we've talked about Votan. We've talked about more Votan. We've talked about the Necrons. We've talked about Tyranids. We just got done talking about the Orcs. And I mean, guys, we even talked about some of the Black Templars and Hell's Reach. I mean, I know we didn't really go in a whole lot of detail. We're going to do a little bit deeper dive on the Space Marine Legions that I think are really cool, like the Black Templar. So we're going to get into that later. But guys, I'm scrolling through, and guess what pops up? It's some Weshammer. Top 5 insane conspiracy theories in the Warhammer 40K universe. Now, guys, what kind of conspiracy theories they got going on? Are they turning the frogs gay too there? We gotta know. We gotta find out. Hope you caught that joke. But with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and jump right on into this. Weshammer's top 5 insane conspiracy theories in the Warhammer 40K universe. Are you ready?
Warhammer 40K is a breeding ground for conspiracy theories, due to most of its lore leaning more towards hearsay than factual accounts of historical events. And for every answer that we get, it seems like 10 more mysteries spring up in its wake. And some of these conspiracy theories are so crazy that they may actually be true. From the theory that the God Emperor is actually a demon, absorbing the souls of all those that are sacrificed to him. That the alien species known as the Hrud aren't actually aliens at all, but are in fact humans from the far future, escaping backwards through time. Or how about the one that the character known as Sly Marbo is actually a perpetual, or better yet, the living saint of Catachan. So put on your tinfoil hats and start pinning random news clippings all over your walls. Because today we're gonna deep dive 5 of the craziest 40K theories on the internet. But before we get into all the lunacy, I'm gonna give a quick shout out to this video's sponsor. And then we're gonna dive headfirst into the grimdark. Stay tuned.
Hrud are humans from the future.
The Hrud.
If you're not familiar with the Hrud, they are a bipedal alien species that has the ability to emit entropic fields around them that basically manipulate the flow of time, causing everything in their vicinity to age rapidly. This makes fighting them incredibly difficult and dangerous, as not only does it cause the individual to age, decades, centuries, or even millennia the longer they are in prolonged contact, but it also degrades their weaponry and armor, reducing it to rust, aged centuries and minutes. In the novel Hammer of Olympia, the Iron Warriors are fighting off against the Hrud. They are at a loss for what to do, and Perturabo is trying to come up with a solution. One of the members of the Mechanicus aboard his ship, Magos Temporis Zurin, ends up in a dialogue with him, where they discuss the practicality of the weapon that he has proposed. The Magos seems to have ulterior motives, and Perturabo demands an answer. Zurin informs him that he would love to get a live specimen of the Hrud, as the information that could be unlocked on the nature of time would be invaluable. Perturabo tells him he will not risk the lives of his men for the Magos' gain, and the tech priest tells him that he understands. But later in the conversation, he also informs Perturabo that he has theories about the Hrud that his colleagues view as heretical. He believes that the Hrud do not experience time the way humans do, but in fact live alinearly. He hypothesizes that when the Hrud migrate, they are not traveling through space, but through time. That every encounter the Imperium has had with the Hrud up until this point has seen them in pretty low numbers, except for right here, at this exact moment in time. That their location in space is seemingly irrelevant to them, but they fight incredibly fiercely for a species that seems to not care about territory. He says although they are generally classified as Xenos, there is another possibility, that the Hrud are not aliens at all, but some strain of humanity, perhaps from the far distant future, maybe even the end of time itself. Perturabo tells him that this
They've
is
advanced
madness,
so
and if
far?
it were true, why would
What?
they come here to this era of the Great Crusade? The
They're
Magos tells
trying to
him that
tell
he has
you
no
something.
idea. Who knows what horrors await in the long, dark reaches ahead? Perhaps they see peace coming in our time and gather here
maybe they
to
can't
enjoy the stability
communicate
that the
with you.
Imperium shall bring to the galaxy.
Maybe.
Now,
Maybe I'm
we
totally
as
wrong.
the audience know that the Horus Heresy is right around the corner, so this line at the end doesn't really make a ton of sense. But perhaps, whatever events are to come in the year 50K, 100K, 500K, or even at the end of time, compared to the horrible fate that inevitably will befall the galaxy, the years leading up to the Horus Heresy were seen as far safer. You may remember in my recent lore battle against Major Kill that the final question Voldemort hit us with was about a member of the Hrud's pantheon, the deity known as Ka. He revealed to us that Ka was rumored to be the last remaining Old One, and that he had played a role in humanity's development. Now, if Ka really was an Old One, and he really did create humanity, but also created the Hrud, the reason he is credited with creating both is because one eventually became the other. Ka and the Hrud's origins are detailed in an account by a human slave of the Hrud that had been captured after they vanished and left him behind. Apparently, he had been in the Hrud's possession for almost his entire life, since the age of 6, and his account has nothing but seeming admiration for them, talking about how the Hrud have very close familial bonds and honor their ancestors. But the account here is being written by an interrogator, so all of the things the slave says is either chalked up to madness or brainwashing. When the captive was questioned on his devotion to the Emperor and the Imperium, he broke out in a fit of madness, laughing hysterically, saying that he would not comment on ancient history or something that was little more than a distant memory. Now, the interrogator chalked this up to madness, but what if from the Hrud's perspective, the reign of the Imperium had ended hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years ago? In the very same book, there's a detailed dissection of a captured Hrud. The creature had 2 artifacts in its possession, a claw-like weapon resembling that of Drukhari design, as well as an Imperial-issued artificial limb. The dissector assumes that they were both scavenged, but what if they were not? What if the Hrud are not human or Eldar? What if they are the descendants of human and Eldar children? Or maybe they're just a bunch of creepy bendy bug aliens, who can say? Number 4, the Emperor is a demon. In order for this theory to make sense, we also have to accept another theory with which to build off of. The first theory states that everything that has ever happened within the Imperium was 100% according to the Emperor's plan. I go over this in great detail in another one of my conspiracy videos about whether or not the Emperor always wanted to be a god. So check that out after watching this video. But this theory kicks it up and adds another critical detail that changes the implications of everything. That the souls being sacrificed to the Golden Throne are not to keep it from failing. That these men and women whose lives are being thrown away are not keeping the Astronomicon lit, but in reality are being fed to the Emperor, who has deceived humanity and is in fact a renegade demon. Their psychic essence and everything they ever were being absorbed by him and joining his growing psychic presence in the warp. The theory makes the Emperor out to be something like a gluttonous parasite. It states that the Golden Throne's primary purpose is to exist as a repository of psychic power that will then be funneled into the Emperor, all by his design. The throne itself is in fact a god machine, a system designed to create a god by combining the psychic energy of countless psychers into a single entity, bearing a striking resemblance to how it is rumored the Emperor was originally created, where the shaman of ancient Earth all sacrificed themselves and fused their psychic energy into a single being. The Horus Heresy, the Unification Wars, the Great Crusade, every single thing that happened was all planned out to lead the Emperor right here to the Golden Throne. His Imperium exists solely to make him even more powerful. All of the Psychers being rounded up and sacrificed to him have given him 10,000 years to swell in power to inconceivable levels, quite possibly putting him on the same level as the Chaos Gods, and if allowed to continue, will cause him to eventually surpass them. Now, past obtaining godhood, we don't really know what the Emperor's ultimate goal is, whether it be to lead humanity safely into the future, to destroy all of reality, or to rule over not only the galaxy, but everything that has ever existed. When I've seen this theory discussed online, proponents of it will often claim that the Emperor is a demon of order who seeks to elevate himself to the level of a chaos god of order. But an even more interesting hot take on this is that he's secretly the 5th chaos god Malice in disguise. And even though Malice's canonity has been in question for multiple decades, the fact that his ultimate goal is to overthrow the other gods would make this theory make at least a little bit of sense. Number 3, Sly Marbo is actually a perpetual. If you're not familiar with him, Sly Marbo is one of the most badass characters in all of 40k.
So he's the rainbow.
A jungle fighter whose deeds have become so legendary that they've begun to border on the absurdity. He has been the lone survivor of impossible engagements more times than anyone could possibly count, and is by all accounts a one-man army, seemingly capable of accomplishing the impossible. If even 1/10 of the deeds attributed to him are true, he would be the most decorated war hero in the entirety of the Imperium's history. But what if the secret to Sly Marbo's badassery is the fact that he literally cannot die? What if he is a perpetual, an individual that reincarnates upon death, forced to live 1 trillion lifespans and walk the galaxy continuously seeking their purpose? And what if this perpetual, known as Sly Marbo, decided that his purpose was to become the ultimate warrior for humanity? He is said to be a master of every form of combat, and just about every weapon imaginable. It is said he has the sniping abilities of a Vindicare assassin, and is such a master of stealth that he is more like a sentient shadow than a man. If Sly Marbo was a perpetual and had lived 100 lifetimes already, then it would make sense how he developed such a wide mastery of skills. Another theory states that he is the avatar of the Catachan spirit, the collective belief of all Catachans that they are the Imperium's greatest warriors, a belief shared by many of the people that have served alongside them. This belief in Catachan greatness may have materialized in the war as Sly Marbo, the living saint of Catachan. The second part of this theory is admittedly kind of ridiculous, but it's hilarious to me. And the first part does kind of make a little bit of sense. Number 2, the cybernetic revolution was caused by chaos. This theory claims that the AI revolution that saw the Men of Iron rise up against humanity in an all-out war that nearly was the complete extinction of our species was not initiated by the inevitable outcome that AI will always eventually seek to overthrow its creators, but instead, the machines of mankind had become corrupted by chaos. It is a misconception that chaos can only affect flesh and blood creatures, and given enough time, chaos can work its influence into pretty much anything. One can look no further than the planets trapped within the Eye of Terror for a glaring example of this, where the inorganic material of the planet has mutated beyond our understanding, and now fully resembles what we imagine a demonic world would look like. Machines are equally susceptible to corruption like this, whether that be through their intentional creation like with the demon engines, which are created by binding a demon into the core of a machine, through demonic scrap code corrupting machines and spreading like a demonic virus, or even in the instance of the Castigator Titan, an AI with an ocean of knowledge that over thousands of years ended up developing sentience, and whose logical path made it make the Dark Mechanicus turn to worshipping it, and then hid the world it was sealed upon within the Eye of Terror, where eventually the AI would elevate into a full-blown demon. We're gonna have to do a deep dive video on this thing because the Castigator Titan is one of the craziest and coolest things in all of 40k. But if you want to check it out for yourself, it comes from the second book of the Grey Knight trilogy, Dark Adeptus. But getting back on track, there's a lot of different ways that this theory could work. It is known that the humans of the Dark Age of technology were well aware of the warp, and would have studied it extensively, as warp travel was developed in the 18th millennia, the early days of the Dark Age of technology. Since this was an era where no limitations were put on technological pursuits, it is possible they may have pursued similar experiments to those of the Dark Mechanicus, that is, with the subjugating of demons and binding them to their machines to be used as an AI. This research was said to be lost, but it is most likely some of the Hereticus Arcana that was sealed in the vaults beneath Mars and forbidden to be studied. The Dark Mechanicus learned these blasphemous technological practices from somewhere, and I believe they originated in the Dark Age of technology. If the humans of the Dark Age of technology were experimenting with the binding of demons to machines and delving too deeply into the warp, then they may have ended up bringing about their downfall by introducing chaos to their AIs. There are too many unknowns to give this theory any real credit, but it's fun to think about. Additionally, you could probably come to the same conclusion that it was the exact opposite, and that the Men of Iron ended up rebelling against humanity because humans were susceptible to chaos. And since they couldn't eradicate the source of chaos, the next best thing to do would be to sever its link to the physical universe, i.e. kill all humans.
I mean,
all right, I'm low on bullets.
I
Everybody
guess
scooch together.
either way
Number
could
1.
make sense.
The Old Ones were warp entities. We are told to believe that during the war in heaven, there was a benevolent species of aliens whose only job was to seed life throughout our galaxy, that they had unlocked the secrets to immortality, and may have even played a role in our own development. That was all until they encountered the Necron-Tier, and due to their refusal to share their secrets or offer salvation to the dying species, the Necron-Tier declared war on them, which ended up in a galaxy-spanning war that saw the Necrons and the Catan facing off against the Old Ones and their newly created psychic races, the Eldar and the Orcs. We were told that the end result of this war was that the Old Ones either went extinct or fled our galaxy, having been defeated by the Necrons, and the resulting turmoil created by their psychic races channeling the warp opened the physical universe to the influence of the Immaterium. However, there is a conspiracy theory that states that this is a lie, that the Old Ones were not as benevolent as they claimed to be, that they were not creatures of the physical universe at all, but were in fact warp entities, that their ultimate goal was to bridge the gap between the physical and the immaterial. And when you think about it, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense for a species that is borderline described as omnipotent, having mastered every possible form of study, and being seemingly godlike in their ability to create new species at will, that these impossible entities would have next to no knowledge of the warp. Knowledge that their mortal enemies, the Catan, seem to know all about. This would further explain why the Old Ones and the Catan hated each other so much, as we know that the Catan were basically gods of the physical universe, manipulating reality, much like sorcerers and psychers manipulate and channel the warp. When you remove all of the lesser races from the equation, this would literally have been a battle between avatars of the physical and immaterial universes. It's also pretty damn suspicious that the second the Old Ones disappeared, suddenly a rift in the Immaterium let loose trillions of warp monstrosities known as enslavers, caused by the sudden influx of psychers into the galaxy. Psychers that the Old Ones created.
Why is there so many bugs?
Actually the Old Ones. Maybe that was their true form all along. How could the Old Ones not have known what they were doing? How could they not have even slightly perceived the ramification of what the Eldar and the Orcs would end up causing? Why did they specifically make races capable of channeling the warp? The original Orcs, which were known as Quarks, were 30 meters tall and technologically advanced killing machines. And some of the descendants of those ancient Eldar, the Drukhari, have sworn off using psychic powers for thousands of years and are still an incredibly deadly force. Surely both of these races could have still been incredibly effective without the use of warp sorcery. Perhaps the Old Ones were demons, or at least a precursor to such entities. What if their goal was to flood our galaxy with psychers in order to bring about the unification of the immaterial and physical universes, a merging of reality and unreality? For as much as we think we know about the Old Ones, this is a time period that stretches over millions of years, so we really don't know much about their motivations.
We don't know as much as we think.
There are just too many unanswered questions about them. The 40K universe is a breeding ground for conspiracy theories. It is a franchise with more mysteries than facts, and as impossible as all of the theories you just heard may seem to be, I actually have a really good source that makes all of these likely to be true.
My source is that I made it the fuck up.
Alrighty, guys. Well, that was our boy Weshammers with the top 5 insane Warhammer conspiracy theories. So, I guess they're not turning the frogs gay. But there was some in there that did sound kind of interesting. Especially that the Emperor Mankind is actually a demon and he's just absorbing all those souls. That's very interesting. Also, that the Old Ones planned to fuse the immaterium and the material worlds. Very interesting. Interesting. But, guys, with that being said, that's going to be the end of the video for tonight. Tell me what you thought down in the comments. Do those conspiracy theories sound plausible in any way, shape, or form? I mean, like he said, the Warhammer universe is kind of more unknown than fact. So, I mean, it does leave a lot of room for interpretation as well as fan spin-offs and yeah, retcons, stuff like that. So, what y'all think? But, guys, with that being said, we are going to be doing the Imperium of Mankind for you tomorrow. And, like I said earlier, we're going to be getting into some Space Marine Legions here in the next week. And I have heard you guys I saw the poll. We're gonna be getting into some gaming. I haven't watched the new trailer for the new, what is it, Space Marines 2 this came out. I'm gonna check that out. Don't know if I'm gonna let you see the reaction or if I'm just gonna check it out on my own. But like I said, once that comes out, we're gonna be getting into some gaming for you guys. Unless y'all just have another game that y'all want me to play. Like I said, I don't really game that much, so a little green behind the ears. I mean, the last game I played was, besides UFC 4, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Last game I played, I think I dumped like maybe 200 or 300 hours into that game, but that's the last game I played. I never PC game before, so be interested. Excited for it. So with that being said, guys, that's gonna be the end of the video. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Before you head out that door, let's beat up that like and subscribe button. We're almost at 1,000. Let's get there together, you guys. Y'all have a great night. Peace, love, happiness to you. And always, guys, be easy. Love y'all.